morning, and once again, it's time for the House Whisperers Show on WWDB Talk 860. I'm Barry Reisman, inviting you to stay tuned for expert advice about maintaining your house from the roof to the basement, featuring professional home inspector Jack Milne. And Jack has told us time and time again, and he's proven it, that every house has a story, and he knows all the stories. How you doing this morning, Jack?
Great, Barry. It's always good to be back on WWDB. October flew by. I can't believe it.
I know.
And here it is, the last weekend of October, and next weekend is daylight savings time. So all of a sudden it made me hustle a little bit and come up with a show that really I think is going to affect us all. And the name of the show is Falls in Full Speed, and how do we prepare? Because next week it's going to be dark earlier, and I'm kind of previewing it a little bit. But next week on Daylight Savings Time, I'm actually bringing back Glenn Ost from GA Electric, and we're going to talk light bulbs, because I know now it's dark when you get up out of bed around 6 to 6:30, and before you know it, it's going to be dark before you eat dinner. So I think next week is going to be a very timely show, and we're going to talk about what we call CFCs. We're going to talk about incandescent bulbs as well as LEDs. So that's next week. So let's talk this week. Before I kick into this segment, though, I do want to thank my sponsors, because without their benefit, I wouldn't be on the air for y'all today. So Bucksmont Inspections, Rob Bowie. I saw Rob as well as his partner at an inspection last week. We got a chance to talk and really go over and evaluate an on-site sewage system, what we call a sand mound, up in Upper Bucks County. So it was great to see these guys, as always. And if you need them, they're excellent in their craft. They're at 215-669-4213. Burrow Exterminating, they're out of Glen Olden, Pennsylvania. They do termite and radon testing, 610-586-5640. Again, a company that's been in business for well over 40 years. Pest Blaster, again, second-generation company out of Hamilton, New Jersey, but they serve both New Jersey and Pennsylvania with radon testing, mold testing, wood-destroying insect evaluations, as well as pest removal. So I ask that you reach out to them at 215-295-5555. BrainFleshGear.com. I was just on the phone with our artistic director. We're getting ready for our motorcycle trip already in July, but we have a big powwow in February, so we're working on getting those shirts ready for the first preview. And so it's good to work with Kevin again. Their email is contact@brainfleshgear.com. And, of course, Tri-County Inspection Company. We're going to be rounding 30 years in business next year, and I can't wait. It's very exciting. So we serve 15 counties from the Lehigh Valley down to the southern part of New Jersey. And I'm going to give you our website, which is tcinspect.com, as we have about 6 different phone numbers, and I got a lot to go over. So visit us at tcinspect.com, get to know us, get to know our inspectors, and how we can help you. So I always ask that you thank the sponsors if you know that we were referred to you via the House Whisperer Show. So the email box. Steve from Quakertown. Jack, I heard you and Bill a few weeks ago about old roofing systems. From that show, I understand that my 100-year-old brick home has ribbon slates, and I do need repair. Where should I go? So in response, I went back to Steve and I said, in your area, there's a couple good roofing contractors, initials DAS, as well as Histans are from Doylestown, and Russell Roofing is from Orland. And these are all good companies, but I always ask that you get quotes to understand the scope of the work to be done. And make sure that you're comparing apples to apples, as any and all repairs, especially to slate, can be expensive. So you want to make sure that all your contractors are quoting the same work. So, Steve, good luck. Thanks for listening. So, folks, any questions anytime, please email me at thehousewhisperershow@gmail.com, or for past shows, visit thehousewhisperershow.com. And, Barry, what I like the best is podcasts all the time, every day, at www.dbam.com. So, today's topic, falls in full speed, How do we prepare? And this is a multi-pronged subject, and that's why I really enjoyed putting this show together. So, and there's so much information. I may revisit it sometime in the future, but a few of these things came to mind. Now, the first one, when was the last time you really cut the lawn? Now, it's usually, in the spring, it could be every 5 to 6 days. During the summer, you try to nail it once a week. But come fall, we may be 10 to 14 days between cuttings. And usually by Thanksgiving, there's many ways to give thanks, but one of them is to put the lawn equipment away. So if you're starting to find that, the grass is growing slower, you don't need the equipment as much as you had, let's start shutting it down. So, and there's the other equipment, too, that I'm thinking, like weed whackers and edge trimmers. Keep that leaf blower around because you're going to need that for a while. But I ask that you do your best to drain the tanks back into their proper vessel. If you're using two-stroke gasoline, which is a gasoline and oil mix, make sure you don't put that one in your normal gas can because that'll foul everything. And at the same time, you can't put gas into the mix can. So make sure you use a fairly good-sized funnel. You might have to turn the equipment physically upside down to drain it. And then what I do, and this is great stuff, I buy a can of Seafoam. At Walmart or one of those places, maybe $8 to $9 a bottle. It's maybe $10 at your AutoZone or Auto Parts store. You only have to put a little bit in each machine, start it up for a second, then turn it right back down. What this does is it prevents a coagulation or what I call the lacquering of gas as it sits in the carburetors for the next maybe 4 or 5 months. Because have you ever tried to start a machine in the spring and you're cranking and cranking and cranking it and it's not working? So it doesn't affect the motor at all. When you do put your new gas and mix next spring in your machines, it may smoke for a second, but it'll clear right out. So you only need a couple ounces. And again, for $10, this thing's going to keep you up and running. If you have that old car or motorcycle, you may want to add it to the tank now and run that for a few minutes. You're not going to turn your motorcycle upside down to empty it into a gas can. If you can, call me. I'd like to talk to you about that. But you do want to mix it accordingly to how much gas you may still have in the tank. Again, a couple ounces will do. And again, it's the best thing for those toys that are going to be shut down now that it's going to be starting to get cold. And ethanol in particular, now specified by Uncle Sam, is one of the worst things for any of your prized possessions. So it's called Seafoam. It's a weird name, but look into it, and it'll help preserve all your machinery. Now, the second topic I want to talk about, and this is I'm finding interesting, is that according to the press, which I always like to follow, the U.S. is predicting lower winter heating bills. The Energy Department is predicting a warmer winter. Last year, as you all know, was a brutal heating season, and oil and the cost of propane soared. And what happened with propane last year is that the demand in Europe was high, so we were shipping our propane to them. The farmers in the Midwest needed propane to process corn to make ethanol for our vehicles, and truly, as a consumer, you and me got killed. So propane actually went up by a third last year. So it's always profits over production. What a concept. So if this winter is in fact milder, some consumers may save up to $800 this month on their bills. Gasoline, going to the gas station, may actually drop below $3 a gallon, and it is actually less than $3 a gallon in more than 30 states. And maybe in Pennsylvania, we'll see it more probably in New Jersey because they don't have as many gas taxes that we have here in our Commonwealth. And with consumer spending being 70% of the nation's economy just before the holidays, Uncle Sam does not want you to hold that hard-earned funds. Rather, he'd like you to spend it at Sears and Walmart and Best Buy. So with the state of the economy, And with the world as it is right now, my suggestion is I would put your funds and savings away for another day. And working with this concept, you may want to fine-tune your heating equipment now. Granted, it is the end of October, but I can tell you what, folks, within the next 2 weeks, your thermostat may be on full tilt. So if you haven't done it yet, please do it now, especially an oil-fired furnace or boiler, because the efficiencies are far lower with that type of fuel because it's thick. And if you have a boiler that's been running every day over the course of the year, not only to provide your heat when you need it, but also your domestic hot water for showering, dishwashing, etc., you need to replace that nozzle to try to bring the efficiency up as high as possible. The maximum efficiency on an oil-fired boiler might be approaching 85%, but you typically can drop anywhere from 5 to 7% over the course of the year. So if you have not seen your oil supplier yet, make sure you get in touch with them now and get that machine up and running to the best of its ability. If you own a heat pump, get the refrigerant levels checked now. Make sure that the coils are clean for those resistant, what we call resistant coils. Because if you have a fur coat on them now, it's going to raise your energy costs. And anytime it dips below 30 on a regular basis, those coils are providing your primary source of heat.
Hey, Jack, we have to jump in here and just take a quick break and get back to more of the great information you have for us.
Okay, well, we're going to come right back to heat pumps when we come back, Barry.
Can't wait. You're listening to the House Whisperer Show on WWDB with Jack Milne. And after these words, we will definitely be right back.
Boro Exterminating has been specializing in wood-destroying insect inspection and control for over 40 years, serving Philadelphia and the surrounding counties. All inspectors are state certified and ensure providing their clients with professional inspections and treatments. Boro not only performs conventional termite treatments, but also handles special services like historic buildings and homes with wells, creeks, or ponds. The client is assured that all treatments will be performed safely when you hire Boro to do the work. They also provide radon testing in their service area. Boro's full-time office staff is available to help you schedule an appointment. Just call 610-586-5640 or send an email request to boroinspects@verizon.net. That's 610-586-5640 or email at boroinspects@verizon.net.
Specially created t-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com.
For your septic inspection and testing needs, please consider Bucksmont Inspections. They've been serving the Bucks and Montgomery County areas for over 15 years. As members of the Pennsylvania Septic Management Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Sewage Enforcement Officers, and the Pennsylvania Association for Professional Soil Scientists, Bucksmont Inspections can inspect your existing septic system or test for your new septic system placement. Please call Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213 and say you heard their ad on the House Whisperer Show.
As the weather gets cooler and the temperatures drop, the bugs might slow down, but the rodents don't stop. Mice and rats begin to invade homes during the fall and winter months, looking for food, warmth, and a comfortable place to nest. Don't wait for pesky rodents to invade your home. Fight back. Have your home baited and ready for their attack with Pest Blaster. Whether preventative or a full-blown infestation, give Pest Blaster a call at 215-295-5555 and they can discuss the solution to your problem. They also offer humane animal removal services for a wide variety of wild animals, damage repairs, and cleanups. Call them today at 215-295-5555 or check them out at pestblaster.com, servicing both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Pest Blaster, 215-295-5555 or pestblaster.com for all your pest control needs.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 25 years. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They've performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They are licensed in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. In PA, call 215-295-2030. In New Jersey, 856-853-4224.
Our house is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so hard. Now everything is easy 'cause of you.
Okay, we are back. I promised you we'd be back, and Jack is here, and lots of important information. Don't miss a minute of it. So, Jack, let's pick up where we left off.
Well, thank you, Barry. Our topic today, again, is falls in full speed. How do we prepare? So before the break, we were talking about heat pumps. And again, those electric-resistant coils is very similar to a toaster with a blower. So as you know, as you cook your toast or your bagel in the morning, those coils glow red, and the same thing does for your resistant coils in your heat pump. So again, it's very important that any dust be removed so that system is 100% up and running. And make sure that you also replace the filter. Because again, you want to get the maximum efficiency you can from your furnace or boiler. What you may want to think about, because again, let's shift back to oil a second, and if the max you're turning out is 80% efficiency, you may want to replace it now, because when a tank of oil is $1,200 to $1,300 to fill, a replacement high-efficient piece of equipment can be paid off rather quickly. Moving on, what about insulation values? When was the last time you actually visited your attic? And this region, you know, the Philadelphia market, up to New York and down to Baltimore, calls for 12 inches of insulation in your attic. If you can take all the savings from lower heating costs and drop it in your attic, again, I'm talking about that $800 that they're talking about, you will get additional savings at the end of the day. So anywhere from a $1,200 to a $2,000 investment, depending on insulation needs, and especially the expanse or size of your attic, can be saved and reimbursed typically within 12 to 24 months. So, as I like to say, forget Sears and Walmart. Invest it in your own home and yourselves. On the exterior of your home, again, keep your gutters clear and your downspouts extended. In the past, I talked about leaf relief gutter guards, and if you want them, put them in now. As you can see, we've had rain over the last few weeks, and these leaves are falling like leaves. So you want to get them installed as quickly as possible. Any trees, you want to keep them away from your roof line, as squirrels and other critters are looking for a way in. The other thing I ask you to do is if you have what's called an aerial service, in other words, your house is being fed electrically via a telephone pole and a transformer, follow that line all the way back to the corner of your property to determine if you have any branches that are laying on that aerial service, or if you have any trunks that are rubbing against that service. Years ago, I was renting an old farmhouse, and around 4 a.m., my alarm clock was buzzing, but it wasn't going off. And here, you know, through the years, and before I became a home inspector, so I have to put my little caveat in, the trunk of the tree rubbed through the primary cable, sending 240 volts into every electrical device I had that was designed for 120 volts. So thank God it was a small home, but folks, everything I plugged in burnt. It just got destroyed. Insurance covered some things, didn't cover other things. So again, walk your property, walk it now. If you find that you've got these branches that are laying on the surface, think about what 12 inches of snow on those branches can do. And I know that aerial service is going to be mechanically fastened to the side of your home, but don't take the risk. Reach out to your local utility company, be it PP&L, PECO, New Jersey Electric, whoever it may be. They'll prune them typically for free, and they'd rather do it now to be proactive rather than reactive after our storms come through and you lose your power. Again, on the exterior of the home, make sure you seal all utility penetrations with a good silicone caulk. Spend $5 or $6 a tube. Think like Clint Eastwood. That caulk gun's open. What can I seal to keep air infiltration out as well as potential rodents? Any painting that needs to be done, make sure you use a good primer. And if you see flaking and peeling wood on your home, winter's going to take a real big toll on that because the wood is already beat up. So you may want to consider capping. Capping the wood is where you wrap it with vinyl and or aluminum products. So one, it reduces all painting in the future, but two, it covers the wood. So you might still be able to get a what I call roofing/siding contractor in and button your house up before it gets too cold. So if these mechanics are on site, I would recommend that they fully expose your soffits, which are the overhangs of the home, and at the same time, you want to add air baffles in the attic to increase the airflow to your attic and reduce the risk of icicles. So a few weeks ago we talked about icicles, and that is a clear sign of ice damming. So if you've got those beautiful 3-foot icicles, chances are the next morning you're going to have leaks within your home. While the contractor's available, you might have them check your roof now too. Vent collars that are cracked now will leak. There's no doubt about it. And especially if you have a foot of snow on your roof. There's now a sleeve that can fit over your existing vent collar for about $10. How well it does the work, I'll let you know. But to me, there's nothing better than a qualified roofing contractor who can replace the collar correctly. So if you've got one that's failed, I ask that you do all your collars because chances are the other ones are going to fail shortly too. Next is the driveway. Take a good look at it. What's it look like? Do you have any allegations? Do you have any deep cracks? I ask that you seal it now before it gets too cold because, once temperatures drop into the 40s consistently at night, it's too late. You want to have temperatures in the 50s to the 70s. I think that's the best time to seal your driveway. And it is something that you can do yourself. You can buy the 5-gallon buckets, buy 10% more than you need, and I would suggest that you screed it. Screeding is like a squeegee. That you pour the material out and you squeegee it in, and I think it's the best thing to fill good cracks. If you need to repave, folks, it may be too late into the year. For the driveway to hold, again, you need to have average temperatures in the 60s. So you may want to extend your driveway if there's any thought of that. You can have your driveway folks come out. You need to excavate your soils at least 8 inches so that you can put in 4 inches of ballast stone and 4 inches of what we call 3/4-inch modified stone. Run the heck over it all winter, because what that's going to do is it's going to settle the aggregate so that come next spring, what they'll do is they'll tamp it down one more time, add a binder coat, and then they'll go ahead and redo your driveway, and it's going to be gorgeous. Now, one thing I always think about this time of year in the fall is cleaning out the attic. So my suggestion is donate now for 2014 tax savings, because this is the time of year to think about giving instead of receiving. Many people in our backyards and around the country are in desperate need of clothing of all types, but now particularly coats and jackets. You know, look through your closets and other storage areas within your home. And folks, if it doesn't fit anymore, why are you holding on to it? And particularly as kids grow, if you can't pass it on to another sibling or a relative, you know, please donate it to some child who can use it. I love Goodwill, the Salvation Army, Purple Hearts, AmVets, Habitat for Humanity are just a few things that come to mind. Glasses, think of your reading glasses, can be donated to the Lions Club. Furniture can be donated to. But one thing to keep in mind, folks, the old box TVs, no one wants them, okay? From what I'm understanding now, the old TV tubes contain mercury. So I had to get rid of a first-generation flat-screen Sony TV about a month ago. It weighs about 300 pounds, and that's without the base.
I've got a couple of them, too.
It's incredible. So you can't donate them, but there are electronic salvage companies, and it cost me $40 for them to take it away. I said, when can you come? I helped them load it up, and I don't want to see it again. So keep that in mind. Flat screens for monitors, yes. Things like that, they will take, but not old TVs. So in closing, with cold weather upon us and only going to get colder and darker sooner, take full advantage of the daylight that we now have and prepare. I love living in this area because we do have 4 full seasons, but what I try to do is prepare all my equipment for the next season. So again, if you're draining the gas out of that mower, swap out the blade, swap out the spark plug. Do it now because you got the time. And then this way you're not in a rush come next spring and say, oh, God, I forgot to do it last year. What I want to, again, remind you about next week is Glenn Aust from GE Electric. We're going to talk light bulbs. And before you rush out to those big box stores, I want you to listen into next week so you know what type of bulb to buy and why. As it is the weekend, I please ask that you spend time with friends and family, and I'll see you next week on The House Whisperer.
And next week, another edition of The House Whisperer Show with professional home inspector Jack Milne. And check out thehouseWhisperershow.com. I'm Barry Reisman. Thanks for listening.
It's a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so